I want to talk about ignorance and what that is, how it affects everything, why it is so deadly, why it is a an aspect of violence we think of violence in the way we think of violence, in how it is our ignorance, which gives us complacency and apathy, which distorts what we understand as violence. Politics in the U.S. and West, and many of the other fascist dictatorships across the world, whether you're talking about the Gulf monarchies or the so-called democratic regimes, such as New Zealand, Australia, and ones that where the governments aren't solvent because because they were put there, they were arranged, they were given the ability to take over, whether it's in Africa, whether it's in South America, whether it's in Central America, it doesn't matter. It is ignorance is self-serving. It is deadly. It is why we have adults who say, "Oh, that's just the way it is. Oh, there's nothing you can do about it. They won't let you." Okay, and then you have the adults who they hear, "Oh, it's people look migrants, illegal migrants, or it's black people, or it's Muslims, or it's and why because of their ignorance, they can't take into context the things that they know in their own personal lives as being wrong, because it's going after them. When bad things happen to them, and they rather than pointing the finger and saying, "Hey, it's not immigrants. It's not the immigrants that are causing me the pain and the hurt. Dee Dee, get in the yard. It's you. It's you, the corporations and the shareholders of these corporations. It's you, the politically bribed lieutenants of this mafia, this fascist mafia. That's a proper way to think of things, proper way to say things, because it certainly isn't migrants, it certainly isn't minorities, and it certainly isn't people doing what they do through that to take care of themselves and others. It's them. And so ignorance, for those of the so-called right, Dee, in the yard now. It's them that's they hear, "Oh, illegal migrants, oh, the China's government, or the Chinese, or whatever," and basically, those are the ones that hear Chinese and they think automatically Asian. I'm not Chinese, but supposedly I look like a Chinese, so include him into it. And so they go into that reaction and they spout off through their ignorance, and ignorance is self-serving. Through their ignorance, and it turns deadly. You know, when you hit a call for the war drums to go to war with China, right? Which is absolutely none of your fucking business, because you don't live in China. You're not Chinese. So get off your fucking soapbox. Get off your fucking high horse. You're not fucking Chinese. It's none of your fucking business whatsoever. So that's the dynamic. You know, you go rah rah rah. Oh, you know what's happening in Ukraine. It's none of your fucking business. You're not fucking Ukrainian. You're not Vietnamese. You're not fucking Cuban. You're not in it. You're fucking Americans, U.S. citizens. Mind your own house. Mind your own house. Don't go thinking that you have any friggin' right. Because you don't. You don't live there. Don't go into this this ideologically insipid idea that, you know, oh, some people live on and they don't know what their government is doing. Oh, they don't know what their own minds are. Fuck you. See, that's proper context. That's a proper context to take. That's a proper way to look at things. Now, I swore, I emoted, but that's a proper context. You may walk by me and, oh, he's a Chinese guy. You know, isn't China part of the problem? Isn't that what I'm being told? That's ignorance. That's outright ignorance, and that builds up complacency and apathy. You take things for the lies and the deceptions, and you internalize it. Dee Dee, hey, get your ass in the yard. In the yard now. Bentley, come. Sorry, my dogs are misbehaving. Seems like they know when I'm not paying close attention. So, it comes down to, it's true. You don't use guns. Don't fire off by themselves. Fighter planes don't and bombers don't drop bombs and everything else by themselves. People. And it's true that it's because of ignorance where we can be manipulated, where we stay complacent. Say, oh, you can buy it like my father does. He buys some nonsense said about China, said about Iran, said about Russia, you name it, and then he doesn't look into it. He doesn't look into it. And when you talk to him, he says, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to know. And that's complacency. That's apathy. And that's brought about by ignorance because, hey, I'm not being, the thing is when something does actually happen, then he'll go put it into the proper context. But that's the apathy. That's the complacency. So ignorance is more deadly than any war, because it is through your ignorance, your unwillingness to actually look for facts, for truisms. It's the acceptance of evil, because that's what it does. When you're ignorant, you can allow for any evil to happen, and you can put it in your mind. Oh, we're there to help these. We're there to help these poor people. Oh, we're there to do this. We're there to do that. But again, it's none of your fucking business. What happens in Iran? What happens in Iraq? What happens in Pakistan? What happens in Ukraine or Yugoslavia or Venezuela or Cuba or Bolivia, Nicaragua or Eritrea or anywhere else? It's none of your fucking business. That's your ignorance talking. That's because you don't want to look into it. That's because you don't want to hear it. That's because it doesn't matter unless it actually affects you. That sort of ignorance kills millions. It's that sort of ignorance that allowed Europeans to come over and be absolute savages and barbarians. That they still continue to do through their ignorance. Well, the indigenous of America, they're barbarians and savages. It's projection. It wasn't the indigenous going off to Europe and brutally genociding the population and repressing them, and continue to this day of trying to eliminate them or make them so servile and subservient, and ignore all the ghastly harms that's taking place. Yeah, again, it's not the indigenous, whether you want to call them American Indians or whatnot. That's not even what they call themselves. So, the way the migrants of the Americas have more right to be coming anywhere in the Americas than you do, which includes me, because I was adopted. I came. I'm not even American, not because I'm naturalized, but look at it. I'm not really American. None of you who are descendants of the colonial barbarians and savages are American. Hell, calling the Americas America is not America. That's bullshit. We are all of us invaders. I mean, I had less choice in it because of my age and the circumstances behind me, but Bentley, come. We have less moral, ethical, any sort of right to be doing what we do. It's complete and utter bullshit. And that's because of ignorance. And your so-called government, it puts that everywhere. They enforce ignorance. Because why? The only way they can operate the way they do is to keep you ignorant. So that you'll be complacent. So that you'll be apathetic. So that they can do whatever the fuck they want. How the fuck they want. And then they can tell you, oh, we're democratic, we're free, we have liberty, we have this, feeding you a whole bunch of horse shit. And you take it and you buy it. And telling you, oh, how great you are as a people and so on and so forth. And yet you stand by. Why? Because of your ignorance. Because of the forced ignorance that you grew up generation after generation. Because you have complete disinterest, even though it affects you. This whole thing, oh, I don't talk politics. I don't talk religion. Bullshit. Even when you claim not to talk politics or talk religion, you do. You just ignore it. That's your ignorance talking. That's your ignorance talking. And, this is how they can easily pick social justice issues and get you all riled up, right? And not address the the very primary things which if implemented, if done, because you came together as a collective and said, no, that is unacceptable. This is what will happen, must happen, but you don't. Why? Because you're ignorant. Your ignorance. It's because you don't want to. You don't want to hear. You don't want to see. You don't want to deal. So you're complacent. You're apathetic, and the only time it matters is when they put it out, put it out, put it out, and they tweak your ignorance through your emotions. So you got an emotional ignorance as well. Ignorance is the biggest killer. It is the biggest destroyer. It's the one that's allowed all these so-called businesses, the corporations, the nationals, the internationals, and the multinationals, and even your medium size ones, to do what they do: pollute, destroy, pillage, plunder. Jack up your housing costs, your food costs, your energy costs, your education, your even when you travel around, so that they can put in like in New York, where they put toll booths everywhere around the fucking state, and extorting the money from you, hurting you even more financially. When they put all these stupid regulations that cost you more and more, but don't actually the number of times that it actually happens. You know how you fix the problem of people not digging where digging? You make sure people are informed about it, reasons why. And you do it in a very hands-on way, so that you can show it, right? You don't need to put penalties on the regulations, right? Or you can't grow so much food on your property, right? What sense does that make? And if you're reported, or if you're caught, and there's some asshole who wants to enforce it, they can come in and penalize you financially. Or selling off your public works. So now you're paying even more. But like, for instance, like in my town, they sold the they had already sold the water. Public utility of water to private hands. Now they did it with sewage. Thing is I'm actually gonna, and I looked at this, I'm actually gonna pay more already for what the town used to. And the thing is the town implemented this sewer and trash tax, and they brought up the taxes, to a high level. It all adds up. I'm getting taxed on property from three fucking sources. Three different sources. The town of Valley Township, Coatesville, and Westchester. Right? Yet, I can't get them to fix the pothole in front of my house. I can't get them to enforce regulations on the repair shops up the street. So every single time there's a heavy wind or heavy rains, I get glass, I get screws, I get all sorts of other trash and everything else that comes into my property. Right? It punctures holes in my tires of my car. Right? Those are the sort of regulations that you need, right? sewer and trash. I'm like, it's ridiculous. I mean, even the Valley Township garbage and recycle collector, like the recycling collectors are like, yeah, no, we used to take only redeemable stuff. Now, and then it so the rest of the so-called recyclables aren't recyclable. They just get go to the landfills or incinerators. Now it's that doesn't even matter. Now it's all goes to the incinerators and landfills. So what the fuck am I paying that for? Why am I paying for that shit? You know, it's a fucking con job, and we accept it. Why? Because, well, I'm forced to accept it because too many people are complacent and apathetic, right? When it actually directly hurts them, financially and multiple other ways, right? What is that? It's just ignorance. It's just ignorance. When you say, oh, well, and you say, oh, yeah, doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't go to the point. The point is, it shouldn't be that shouldn't be happening. And the only reason it keeps happening is because of your ignorance. Your ignorance. Your apathy, your complacency. Why is that part of it? Because ignorance says, oh, I have to look out for number one, except you're not. Because when you ignore it, when you don't come together, they continue to do so. They continue to put extra burdens on you, financial and otherwise. You're not doing anything to make your children's lives better. You're not making your own lives better. Things that get harder and harder and harder and harder, and they continue to do it. So when you should be felt, you know what? LGBTQ, whatever the fuck it is, okay? You know what? That's none of a fucking business either. You see, that's politics. That's part of your religious ideology. So when you say, I don't talk politics, I don't talk religion, you're fucking lying. You're fucking lying because you are. Because that hits on that exact thing of being gay. Of being, want to have a sex change. It's none of your fucking business. If you say you don't want to talk religion, you don't want to talk politics, then get the fuck off your high horse. Get out of your fucking ignorance. Because you definitely are. So, again, ignorance allows you to be led by the fucking nose. You might as well have a big ass nose ring that they put on beasts of burden, right? Or the thing for the horses, you know. Because that's what you are. You're being led by the nose, and that's your ignorance. That's allowing this to happen. That allows this complacency and apathy. Ignorance is a killer. Ignorance is the most destructive force in the world. Because if you were informed, then you would have consensus. Then you would have collective consensus. And when you have collective consensus, you can use that force through numbers to get things right. To force it to happen. And you wouldn't be thrown, we got to support Ukraine. We got to go, or we have to join the military so we can go fight people thousands of miles away, which we have no fucking business, because it certainly isn't helping you, because you don't own fucking multinational corporations, do you? Huh? You know, you want manufacturing back in your country? Then stop buying, in India, China, and everybody else is taking our fucking jobs. It wasn't India or Vietnam or Thailand or Mexico or China or who came over with guns and said, "Hey, you have to move your shit over here, otherwise we're gonna fucking crack open your heads or shoot you." That was your so-called business mafia's decision. The same ones who say, "Oh, you need to bid to have us come to your town or your city. Oh, you need to fund our stadiums for our pro football team or baseball and whatnot." The ones that are looking for handouts when they have billions themselves, they don't use their own fucking money; they're using yours. That shit shouldn't be allowed. But because of your ignorance, because they say, "Oh, it's gonna grow jobs," and then but if you look into it and you look at, a couple on this, when you have fucking millions or thousands, come on, that's ignorance. So and when your roads can't be maintained, when other critical infrastructure can't be maintained, when they use, we're going to build low cost housing, except there are buildings and housing that are empty, right? And because that's your ignorance talking, because you don't know how to critically think. You don't know how to look for the context. You can't say, "Oh, they're the problem. They're the ones causing the issues." The fucking media is nothing more than a fucking a mouthpiece for the interests. Why? Because the fucking media is owned by those fucking assholes, those criminal assholes. Ignorance. Again, it's apathy. It's the one that says, "Oh, I don't want to hear it. Oh, it's just the way it is." They won't let you do it. How many of they are there? Think about it. When they tell you, "Oh, it's left, right, middle, center," or this against that. Come on. If you actually talk to other people, right, who are supposed to be ideologically different from you, like conservatives, liberals, or whatnot, you actually see that you have more in common with them. So why don't you come together? Why don't you talk to each other? Why don't you come together and say, "This is the consensus and we need to do something about it"? Why is it when politicians and these fucking corporations do this shit, and it's not called, why isn't it violence? The shit that they're doing, they're engineering. Why isn't it violent when it is? It's in fact them with the so-called politicians who are bought, who are patting their own pockets. They're the ones doing the violence. The so-called authorities, the ones that are paid by the authorities. Why? Because you're fucking ignorant. Because you're complacent. You're apathetic. Because it only matters to you when it affects you personally. And I don't give a fuck if you call yourself a liberal, conservative, left, right, center. It doesn't fucking matter to me. You're all fucking ignorant. You're all fucking stupid. And you're proud of it. You're proud of being stupid. You're proud of being stupid. Stupid is as stupid does. You're proud of being stupid. That's what it comes down to. You're proud of being stupid. And stupidity kills. Stupidity harms. Stupidity injures. You're proud of your stupidity. You're proud of your ignorance. Kick yourself in the ass and get out of that fucking vicious cycle. Because it actually does hurt you. It actually does impact you. Stop being stupid. Stop being proud of being stupid.